I never thought I'd be telling this story, but here I am. My world fell apart when I discovered my husband of 10 years and my childhood friend had betrayed me in the worst possible way. Let me start from the beginning. I met Ryan when I was 22 and he was 24. We dated for about 2 years before getting married. Coming from different backgrounds made things interesting. I grew up in a well-off family that owned several businesses, while Ryan had a tougher life with a single mom after losing his dad in service. My parents taught me the value of hard work despite our comfortable lifestyle. I worked my way up in digital marketing, managing social media accounts for big brands. Ryan, on the other hand, dropped out of college and became a freelance content writer. He did pretty well for himself, traveling around as a digital nomad before settling down with me. When things got serious between us, I finally told Ryan about my family's wealth. He didn't take it well, accusing me of hiding it from him. I explained how past relationships made me cautious about revealing this too early. Though he said he understood, he'd occasionally make snide comments about how I'd never had to try hard or wouldn't understand real work. These remarks hurt because I'd always worked to support myself without relying on my parents. The red flags started showing up when we moved in together. Ryan insisted on living in my larger apartment, but didn't want to split costs. He claimed his freelance income was too low, and that I should prove my love by covering everything. After arguing, I agreed to pay the rent, but said he needed to handle his own bills. This led to more arguments until I gave in and paid for everything. Meanwhile, Ryan kept sending money to his mom, Sandra, every month and buying her expensive gifts. When I pointed out how he had money for his mom but not our bills, he'd get angry and say she needed it more as a single parent. I felt guilty and stopped bringing it up. The proposal story still makes me shake my head. Instead of planning something special, Ryan proposed in our backyard. He got help from my best friend Aisha, who I'd known since high school. Our families were close. Our moms grew up together, and Aisha was like a sister to me. She helped Ryan pick the ring and plan everything. Looking back, I wonder if that's when things started changing. After marriage, I continued paying for everything, our dates, vacations, household expenses, while Ryan claimed he was saving for our future. When I got pregnant with our first child, I had to quit my job due to complications. Ryan wasn't happy about this and started arguments about finances. My dad finally stepped in and warned Ryan to step up or risk divorce. Since we had a prenup, Ryan knew he'd lose his comfortable lifestyle if we split. For the first time, he stopped sending money to his mom and started contributing to our bills. After our son Oliver was born, things got harder. Aisha stayed with me at the hospital since Ryan was too busy with work. Being a new mom was overwhelming, and I didn't realize I had postpartum depression. Ryan refused to help with anything. No diaper changes, no feeding, nothing. He said it was a mother's job and he didn't know how to handle babies. Sandra would visit but only to criticize how I needed to lose weight faster, how I wasn't responding quickly enough to the baby's cries. She never said a word about her son's complete lack of involvement. When I tried talking to my mom about my struggles, she dismissed postpartum depression as not real and told me to be stronger. A year later, I found out I was pregnant again. It wasn't planned and Ryan was furious. He wanted me to get an abortion, saying we couldn't afford another child. Instead, I went back to work. This time I was smarter with money. I kept half my paycheck separate and only put half in our joint account. That's when Ryan decided to quit his job. He claimed he deserved a break since I got one during my pregnancies. He spent his days playing video games while I juggled work, housework, and caring for Oliver. When I confronted him, he started spending time at his friend Marcus's place. Marcus was a bitter divorced guy who hated women, which didn't help matters. When I went into labor with our daughter Emma, Ryan missed everything. My calls went straight to voicemail. Aisha, surprisingly, was also unreachable. My parents had to take me to the hospital. Aisha showed up the next day with some excuse about work. Finally, I gave Ryan an ultimatum: find a job or I'm leaving. To my surprise, he agreed without arguing. I should have known something was wrong. The truth came out when I was sorting laundry one morning. His phone pinged with a message I could see on the locked screen. When will you tell her about us? I'm pregnant and can't keep it secret anymore. My world stopped. I picked up his phone, read the message again, and when Ryan came out of the shower, I slapped him hard. He tried explaining, but I was done. I packed bags for me and the kids and went to my parents' house. That's when everything unraveled. Aisha sent me a long message saying she had fallen in love with Ryan and needed to think about her baby now. Ryan kept calling, saying we could convince Aisha to give up the baby and raise it together. The more they explained, the worse it got. Apparently, while Ryan was supposedly playing video games, he was meeting Aisha. Marcus had encouraged it, saying Aisha was more of a woman than me. The day I went into labor with Emma, they were together. That's why neither answered their phones. Aisha's mom, unlike mine, believed me immediately and was furious with her daughter. She promised to cut Aisha off completely. The next few months were a blur of tears and legal meetings. My lawyer served Ryan divorce papers, and he called me crying like a child, begging for forgiveness. I just laughed and told him to prepare to lose everything. The kids barely noticed his absence since he was never around much anyway. But the real shock came from my mother. She'd been acting strange, constantly telling me I should give Ryan full custody of the kids. It made no sense. She knew what a terrible father he was. When my dad and I finally confronted her, the truth came out. My mother had met with Aisha behind my back. Aisha had begged for forgiveness, and instead of defending me, my mother felt sorry for her. She even promised to help Aisha financially and suggested Ryan could support Aisha's baby while staying married to me. When Aisha refused that idea, my mother came up with an even worse plan. She told Aisha that since I had postpartum depression, I wasn't fit to be a mother. She suggested Aisha should raise all 3 kids together as siblings, using the child support money I'd have to pay. My dad was furious. He told my mother to leave the house and said their marriage was over. She went to stay with her sister. Sandra, Ryan's mom, finally called me, not to apologize but to tell me how much Ryan was suffering since everyone knew what he'd done. She tried justifying it, saying men sometimes stray, and it's a woman's job to forgive. I shut her down fast and warned her I'd take every penny from Ryan in the divorce if she ever contacted me again. 6 months later, the divorce was final. Thanks to the prenup, Ryan got nothing from me. I got full custody of the kids, and he has to pay child support. The look on his face when the judge announced it was priceless. Sandra glared at me, but I just smirked back. My mom is in therapy now, trying to understand how wrong she was. My dad won't take her back until she really changes. Aisha's mom kept her word. She cut Aisha off completely, and even put me in her will instead of her daughter. Last I heard, Ryan wants nothing to do with Aisha or their baby, which doesn't surprise me at all. Sandra is angry about losing access to her grandchildren, but that's not my problem anymore. It's been a tough journey, but I'm doing better now. I focus on my kids and my work. Sometimes I think everything happened for a reason. If Ryan hadn't cheated, I might still be stuck in that awful marriage. My kids are happy I'm free, and that's what matters. The betrayals hurt, but they also made me stronger. I learned who really cares about me and who I can trust. Most importantly, I learned to stand up for myself. Things aren't perfect, but they're better than they've ever been. I have my dad's support, my kids are thriving, and I'm finally living life on my own terms. Sometimes the worst betrayals lead to the best outcomes. I never thought I'd say that, but here we are. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please hit that subscribe button to help us reach our goal of 1,000 subscribers. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with friends or family who might enjoy it too. Your support means a lot. And if you have any thoughts, questions, or story ideas, drop them in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. See you in the next story.